It's easy, hello, and I just got the new MacDonald book. It's called Based on a True Story, a Memoir, and I just like to read a passage from it, if you don't mind. Okay, very good stuff. On today's episode, we've got SayianZ talking Jim Norton and YouTube being racist. We've got the Hispanic Ice Cube Mike Kelly doing film reviews and plugging his new YouTube channel. And then we've got the great Porsalin who comes from England, and he's talking about his brilliant Jim Norton documentary, The Worm Has Turned, and SayianZ. And let's see if you can count how many times I crowbar in my Norm MacDonald and Andrew Dice Clay impression in this one. Have a good one. Are you zooted yet?
No.
How,
I don't get fucking zooted, man. I get drunk.
I was just listening to the Beatles. Or what kind of music are you into anyways, in?
Rap, rock.
Have you heard this new rapper? I can't even remember his surname. Oh yeah, no, his surname is Oakham.
Oakham?
Have you heard of him?
No.
Oh, his first name.
I ain't listening to some name Oakham.
Oh, his first name is Icewall.
Asshole Oakham? Oakham
No,
asshole?
His first name's Icewall.
Axewall?
Icewall.
Oh, Icewall. Icewall Oakham.
Do you swallow cum? You just got chipped. So I've seen your review of the Porsalin documentary.
Well, I can give the second part of the review because I finally watched the second part. The second part is, in my opinion, way better than the first part. Especially since I figured out I got a little shout out in it. So. I trashed it. I looked at his name, and he put my name in it.
That's what I find so funny about the whole thing, though. It's because it's like you were reviewing the thing before you actually seen it.
Well, I got like 40-something minutes in.
Oh yeah, you were drunk as fuck for that.
I know. I thought it was gonna be way more exciting. I was like, this never really made like a legit documentary. It wasn't like I thought it was gonna be more like the Beige Frequency videos, but I saw the second part, and I guess I should go back and rewatch the first part. But the second part I did like.
How did he end up on your live stream though? Because the fact that you were talking shit to him and you thought it was cosmic, but it turned out it was actually Porsalin.
Well, I mean, pretty much every one of my things connected to the Teft one, and vice versa. So he hops over from time. He has it to where, and he probably just heard that I was trashing him or something.
I actually thought the documentary was great, but it definitely I thought some of that Anthony Cumia part could have been edited out because it was kind of a, what's the word, derivative.
I thought watching the second half, he went into like just a tiny bit of an Amy Schumer tangent.
Yeah.
Like, why are we talking about Schumer right now? Like, my complaint from last night was, but I finally just saw the second half, but the first half is definitely a build-up. And like I said, up until the point I was thought of just watching the Jim Norton documentary. Like the Beige Frequency one, he's trashing Anthony right off the rip, and that's why I think they're so great. But I guess Porsalin was going for like a more legitimate type of thing.
Yeah, because but the way you were reviewing it, it was almost like you expected it to literally be about worms at some point.
Like, they could have put Earthworm Jim on the fucking thing. It's nothing.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there was a thing I was talking to Beige Frequency about this, about a famous Jim Norton story that didn't get put in the documentary, and also it might explain why Jim's so afraid of the whole Me Too movement shit.
Yeah.
It's do you remember I was on O&A when they had these drinks promotion people on?
And he banged the chicks in the bathroom, right?
Yeah, when they were all drunk and wasted and the girl was crying.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, do you think that Jim is afraid of that sort of coming back to light?
No. I mean, the chick was like a horse. She's probably dead or some shit. Like, and probably thinking Jimmy's not big enough, if so, even. So he's got that working for him to where he's not big enough. Because the Me Too thing really only is about famous people.
Yeah.
The local at Burger King smacking the bitch's ass and getting Me Too'd. It's all about famous people and shit. They did a while ago, but I don't think Jimmy's famous enough, and that shit could be whatever now. Plus, I think one could make an argument that it was on air. Well, what happened wasn't on air, but they could say in a general sense of things, it happened on air, and they were really just fucking around. So I don't know.
Right, but the way these are, like, we're talking about Louis C.K., who would literally say, "Hey, do you mind if I jerk off?" Which now counts as sexual assault 10 years later. Not that it makes it all right. I gotta tell you, I don't like Louis C.K.
Well, I like Louis C.K., but what's happening to him is bullshit. Essentially, if jerking off in front of a chick is sexual assault, then every time a bitch has flashed her titties somewhere, it's sexual assault.
Double standards for them.
Yeah, and like these bitches, I mean, let's keep it real. They're not fucking, they don't have nightmares and come out of sleep in a cold sweat going, his little Mexican dick. Oh my God. Like, it's not that serious. But like I said, he's really fucking famous. So.
Is that a famous thing? A Mexican dick?
Well, he's a white redheaded ginger who's Mexican, so he's probably extra little and smells like Taco Bell.
But the whole thing about do you think that when Jimmy was, especially in that scene in the film when he was praising Amy Schumer and defending her with joke stealing, do you think he knew that was before he was going to get cut out of the train wreck film?
There's certain shit he'll call out other people. Look, there's a huge difference between Jimmy before and then in general. If you go back and listen to those early O&A, especially on when I first go to XM, he's just he wrote a book called I Hate Every One of the People I Hate, whatever the fuck it was called. He used to be a vicious fucking dude, but he did get success, and I guess whatever success he got calmed him the fuck down. Now he's working in a business. That funny Steve Martin story where he actually ran into someone who he trashed. And like, look, he's not stupid. He knows Amy didn't cut him out of the movie. He was Judd, but he still got a paycheck. He still got paid. He's still Well, do you get to use it as a credit? I don't think so. But he just did a movie with Robert De Niro. So I think from his career stance, he's calmed the fuck down. And it's a buddy of his. You know, the most interesting reaction I had was Joe Rogan when he was talking to Hannibal Buress about it. And he said if Amy was anybody else, me and everyone else would be calling her out for stealing the jokes. But they're all friends with her. It's a difference when you're friends with the person.
Artie Lang even said that Amy Schumer has a rap for sort of going after people's careers if they mess with her.
I think only the broads.
Yeah, but she's doing a Weinstein. She's abusing her power.
But, I mean, how long is that really going to last? The movies aren't really making that much money anymore. Now she's doing a podcast with some other whore and fucking Keith Robinson. Like, Two Girls, One Keith, I think it's called. Oh, Jesus. The stroke victim's the funniest person on the podcast. Wow.
You know, it's funny. You've been on this for about 9 minutes and you've already said hers and you've dropped the M word and you're fucking everything, you know? I got a question here by someone on the YouTube live stream.
Yeah.
Mark Glistey, do you have any hate with him?
Driving a heat with him?
Yeah. All right, well, he says, ask Kyle if his wife is taking over his program production. Ask why she blocked Casey on Twitter if she now has the authority to end streams.
No, she doesn't have authority to end streams. Sometimes when she gets really drunk, she'll go on a blocking. Am I still on with you?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, sometimes, like, Casey only got blocked because Casey was aware and it's in the stream. She didn't see the 80 other people she blocked. She sometimes gets drunk and just goes on a tear.
Wait, Casey's your wife?
No. Casey is my producer.
Wait, what's this? So you have a producer?
Yes.
What?
Casey's my producer.
Are you back working for Gonzo?
No, she's always been my producer.
I'm very confused. How's this happen?
My dream. I still can't. She can only make a call on the Jim and Sam when Rich Ross is there. My dream is when they take her call, she goes, yes, my name's Casey. I'm the producer of SayianZ Entertainment, because I just die of laughter. Because they'll do exactly what you just did. He has a producer?
Yeah. But how do you have a producer? I don't get it.
Well, she runs everything because I'm too fucking stupid to. So,
but your wife blocked her?
Yeah, she was one of many who got it that night.
Yeah, what was that Tara stuff? Because clearly you've never met Tara, right?
Nah.
But the wife went nuts on it.
Yeah, because we'll be fighting about something else every once in a while, and then she'll just transfer it into something else. Like that whole day and night we were fighting about other shit. So she just wanted an excuse to come down and start bitching at me again. And I went upstairs and smacked her.
Yo, did you smack that bitch with a dick?
I straight Mr. Finley that bitch. Phone right off the wall, in pussy and asshole, and drug her around the house.
You've not been drinking at all today, no?
Nah, I don't drink during the day. I can't fucking drink during the day.
This is straight in.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. But hey, are you ready for Norm's comeback show?
Yeah, I can't wait to check it out.
What is it? It's next Friday, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be on Netflix, right?
But I was thinking, you think it'd be good if he did if he rapped?
I wouldn't fucking pay money to listen to Norm MacDonald rap.
Because do you remember Norm went through a phase of actually dressing like a rapper?
Well, he used to kinda, if you think about it. He used to wear those hoodies.
Him and P. Diddy wearing the baggy white t-shirts and choosing it.
What's his new show gonna be? Is it gonna be like the podcast or like an interview Dave Letterman thing?
Well, I think it's like a mixture of both. Like it's an actual talk show, but it's just like the podcast was. Got me thinking. Can you imagine if he was into DMX? You know, like the Rough Riders, like, hey, stop, drop, shut him down and open up shop. You know, that's how Rough Riders roll.
We have to shut down shop because the popo might come around.
yeah. You gotta shut down shop because it's always full of those dirty venereal disease carrying whores.
See, now this might sound crazy. You know what Norm MacDonald shot? Instead of him interviewing people, I would find it more interesting if he did a show where people just interviewed him. Like bring in a new interviewer just to interview Norm.
Yeah, but I'm also been trying to get Mike Botticelli on this interview, but he keeps I've been trying to get an interview with him for about a month, but he keeps going, I'm not feeling too great this week. Can we move it to next week? And it's like, okay, you don't want to be a dick because he could just say no.
What did you say his last name was?
Botticelli.
Botticelli. Is that how you say Mike Boschetti?
Boschetti, is that his name?
Yeah. So you can call him Botticelli?
Yeah.
What is he, fucking Italian food?
Carl, you should definitely do that video of calling YouTube racist, and you should take advantage of your race while you can.
They don't care at this point.
Oh no, because as soon as you claim racism, if you put that on like Reddit or whatever, you're going viral. And you can have like your kids all sitting on your knee.
Oh, my kid's sitting on my knee.
Yeah, it says, I'm trying to help my kids. And YouTube demonetized us due to our race. They're Republicans.
I should be smart. I just got off of crack 10 years ago. I'm trying to get my life back together. Look at my little son, Tyrone. My son go, don't make my daddy go back to crack, you too.
My son broke his legs when all my Hillary for president banners fell on his ankles.
We love Hillary Clinton. That's what you should just say. We love Hillary, and they won't monetize me.
My wife tripped over my Lena Dunham box set.
I'm not monetized by YouTube. I have to get drunk and beat my children every day now. It's all YouTube's fault.
I blame Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of that rapper from earlier?
Yeah.
What was it again?
I swallow Oakham.
You swallow.
I swallow Oakham. What the fuck are you? Did this sound like Irish fucking mystic spell thing? I'm saying, am I gonna have leprechauns chasing me now or some shit?
That's pretty fucking good, no, isn't it?
It's gonna be some ghost from Erie with red hair. Sounds like William Wallace. He uttered Isaac Yoakum. He said the phrase. There always has to be Lucky Charms. Let me ask you a question. I got a real question. Do they have Lucky Charms in Ireland?
The cereal or the leprechaun treat?
The cereal.
They don't have them here.
Of course. Are you like think it's just racism? We refuse to have that racist cereal here.
Yeah, it's like ordering fries and calling them African spears. Yeah, but that's the thing. We were talking. I was talking to this Scottish person. I was at a gig the other week, and he goes, "Here, mate, where's a good Irish pub around here?" And I'm like, "Every pub's an Irish pub, you idiot."
Yeah, there's probably not too many Celtic pubs around. It's probably like just called John's or some shit.
Yeah. No, they're all.
No, like, wait. It's probably called Mohammed's at this point.
Oh.
Mohammed's Hookah Bar. That's probably what it's at now. Fucking just a bunch of hookah bars. Now Lucky Charms is the #1 seller in the country because this is all Muslims eating it, rubbing it in your faces.
Why don't we start off? Why don't you give your YouTube and Twitter a plug?
My Twitter is @MikeUSA365, and you can find my YouTube stuff at Monster Reviews on YouTube. You just look, it's like the third result if you search for Monster Reviews, and my videos have a green background, so you'll be able to find them pretty easy.
You can't say the G word, that's R word.
The green word?
It's triggering, so you'll be reported and shut down. But how's YouTube going for you? You having much hassle with it?
Well, I haven't been able to get many viewers so far, but I'm just getting started, so I'm not too worried about it yet. Eventually, I want to monetize it and everything, but I have to get 1,000 subscribers, and I have to get 4,000 viewing hours before I can even do that.
So let me ask you this. We'll get into the film topics. Do you think that there's a lot of critical bias out there? And by that I mean the last film I went to see was Black Klansman. And based on all the critical reviews and stuff, you'd think you were going to see the greatest film ever. And I thought it was really quite dull.
I think that's from like intersectionality, where you have to say that something, if it's black, if it's female, if it's Chinese, if it's whatever to do with minorities, you have to give it extra praise. I don't even think that the critics even think it's that good, probably. I mean, I didn't see the movie, but the critics are probably just kissing its ass, so they don't look bad.
There's this whole big thing. Did you hear the thing about the Oscars popular film category shite?
Yeah, I wish they would have done that like a year ago so Logan could have made it in, but now it's going to be for Black Panther probably is going to win it. But
that's the film I was actually going to bring up, because as much as I liked Black Panther, I don't think it's like Oscar worthy.
No, definitely not. It's a good popcorn film. Maybe it's a little better than a popcorn film, but there's not like a deep meaning to it or anything. It wasn't like superb acting. There's no one that I would give an Oscar to or nominate for an Oscar for that movie.
Yeah, but the same with Wonder Woman. Like that film was so over the top, critically praised, and it's just like it drove me fucking mental. It's like you people can't seriously think that Wonder Woman is one of the greatest films ever made. It was average at best.
Yeah, when I went to the theater, like afterwards, like I saw it with my dad, and he asked me what I thought of it, and I went, nah, it's just okay. Because most of it was okay, and then like the third act fell apart because they had just such a weak ass villain.
I thought they had a weak ass superhero. I thought she was shite. What was her name? Carla or Gal Gadot or something?
Yeah, I don't even know what her name is.
So, what's your opinion on this whole thing about female reboots of films?
Oh, they're terrible. I don't even need to see them to know they're terrible. Like Ghostbusters, that flopped, and they were supposed to make a sequel to it, but they had to cancel it because it was such a big fucking flop.
And it's the same thing like when they did Ocean's 14 there. Nobody even wanted Ocean's 13, so why would they then want a fourth film about 6 or 7 years later? And then if you don't like it, you get called a sexist.
Right. It's intersectionality again.
So are they trying to say that women don't have the brains to come up with something original? Or do they all have to wait for the men to be done so they can do their reboot? Why can't they just come up with something new?
That's how I feel whenever they try to recast a character, like as like when they try to make a white character black, or they make a Asian character white. That's the same feeling I get, that they're just pandering and they're not being original at all. Instead of making new superheroes, they're just going to cast people with they're just going to try to diversify the cast now, and it doesn't fit anymore. Like if there was a black Batman, you would have to change his entire backstory, because how do you have this black billionaire that just doesn't make sense in American history?
Well, unless they update the backstory to modern times.
Yeah, I think the Hughes brothers were going to do that. They were going to do some kind of year one Batman story where he starts out homeless and he's not like rich at all.
I think that the problem with Batman is they can't stop doing the origin story in films. So they've made him dull.
Yeah, that was the first thing wrong with Batman versus Superman. Immediately they went into the backstory again with his parents being killed and the whole Martha crap. And right away it took me out of the movie, because I'm like, we don't need to see this again. We saw it perfectly in Batman Begins. It couldn't have been done better.
Do you think we're living in an era now where critics don't actually matter anymore?
Yeah, I think that's pretty true. I go by user ratings. I don't even look at what the critics say. I just go on IMDb and see what the user ratings are. And that's usually a pretty good indicator of if I'm going to like a film or not. So critics don't really matter. And there's a lot of critics like online that are a lot better than the critics like in the newspapers. Because in the newspapers, these critics are too proper. They're overeducated for what they're doing. They're almost fiction writers. They're wannabe fiction writers. And they're just trying to oversell things that aren't good.
What's your take on all this stuff about them, the campaign to have a black James Bond?
It's all right as long as they get the right actor. I mean, Idris Elba's kind of getting old, but he's the coolest black guy probably out there right now. So I wouldn't mind if they went with him. But just the idea of we have to get a black James Bond is pretty bad. It's forcing it. And you're not going to do good when you're forcing things.
My whole thing is, see, when people say, oh, we need a black James Bond, it's like, so then it's okay if it's not Hispanic, and it's okay if he's not Hindu or Asian. It has to be black.
It's always, well, that's the intersectionality again. It's because there's a ranking system. Blacks are always going to be first on the ranking system. Then it's like other minorities, and then women. And so there's a whole caste system.
Because obviously, because people say, oh, but James Bond's race isn't important, so he doesn't have to be white, which is fair enough. But then if it was announced that they're casting a white Blade, there'd be fucking riots.
Yeah, that's true. That doesn't work the other way around. People got pissed when in Doctor Strange when they cast the Ancient One as a white lady instead of being an Asian character. And the reason they cast her like a Celtic version of the Ancient One is because they were trying to avoid getting backlash for like using a stereotypical Asian character in the first place. But them trying to adjust for that just made people pissed that they cast a white person in the role.
So what's your take on Marvel? Do you think they're sort of oversaturating the market?
I keep thinking that every time there's a new trailer for a new movie, but then I keep seeing them and I just keep liking them anyway. I even liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I mean, Ant-Man is probably my least favorite franchise in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I still enjoy it anyway, so I'm ready for them to keep pumping them out. They did go too far when they branched out with some of their TV stuff, like Inhumans. That didn't work. That totally flopped on them. But some of the other stuff still works, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still going strong, I think. I haven't watched season 5, but first 4 seasons were pretty good.
Yeah, I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I just started watching Iron Fist on Netflix. And it's the first time I've ever actually given up on something from Marvel because it was so crap. And that fucking actor playing the lead, like they might as well have just cast Will Ferrell.
Yeah, I've heard he's pretty much a dumbass character. The way they've written him is pretty awful.
And the worst thing is, there's this thing that actors do. They cast this English guy, and Danny Rand, the character's meant to be from New York, but because he's some shitty English actor, his accent is just like this Jack Nicholson ripoff, where he's like, I'm Iron Fist and I want to save New York.
Yeah, I haven't watched Iron Fist yet. I'm not going to. I watched The Defenders, which was okay. It wasn't that great. It was kind of a disappointment. I've watched Daredevil season 1 and 2. Season 1 was better, but I really enjoyed, I'm addicted to Daredevil and Punisher. But I haven't checked out, I watched one episode of, what's the female character?
Lena Dunham
on Netflix? No, she's a supervillain. It's Jessica Jones. I watched one episode of that and it fucking depressed me because she's such a drunk.
But I just hate how slow moving those, because like Netflix is long anyway because there's no ad breaks, but it just moves at this pace, like, and then you get about 2 minutes of action, and where you think, oh fuck, this is getting good, and then it's another 9 more hours until the next action scene, and it's totally unnecessary all the time. So what's the future plans for your YouTube channel? Are you planning to maybe someday podcast it or anything?
I don't know, because right now I'm having trouble kind of improvising things. My memory is really shit, so I just write everything down and I need notes to do what I'm doing. So I don't know if I can extend it into an entire podcast, really. If I could go on and talk that long for an hour or whatever.
Who's funnier between Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer, and which one would you like to have to spend a whole day with?
I think I could tolerate Amy Schumer. Not Lena Dunham. Well, maybe Amy Schumer a few years ago when she still had some shape to her body. Now she's just like a big fucking blob. There's no curves or anything. It's one large curve instead of having a bunch of curves on her.
Porsalin, how are you?
I'm feeling okay. I had a really bad pizza last night and I woke up and, severe diarrhea kind of issues, but it's fighting on, doing my best I can.
But that's it. I remember that joke that Nick DiPaolo said about pizza. He says, pizza's like a good blowjob. Even when it's bad, you still get to pay for it.
Yeah. It's the first, I've been on some stupid, pointless health kick thing, and it's the first pizza I've had in 7 months. So I think my body's just in shock at the moment of all the fucking carbs and shit. So it was just let's force this stuff out as quickly as we can.
But I'm actually in a heavy training routine at the minute, because coming to late November, December, all I do is eat chocolate and meat.
Oh god. Yeah. Those months are a killer. Like, I've been good over the summer, but like it's gonna be chaos winter time for sure.
But let's talk about the Norton documentary. So what was it that actually made you want to make the Worm Has Turned?
Well, you probably I don't know if you're familiar with the first one I did, the Joe Matarese one. I've kind of like had a weird I wouldn't say obsession, but with Joe Matarese, he's kind of like his story arc is just like so funny and insane that after seeing the Beige Frequency stuff, I just got it in my head that like this has to be done to Joe Matarese. I was obsessed with the idea, and I really wanted Beige to do it, but obviously he's really busy with the Kumia one, and I wouldn't want to detract him from that because it's superb. But so I just was like, you know what, I could probably do this myself actually. So I looked at what Beige was doing. I looked at what that Chris Chan guy did with his documentary series, which is fucking awesome. And I was just like, yeah, I could probably do that. I can sort of get my way around Premiere. So I ended up doing the Joe Matarese one. And subreddit really liked it, and it you know, got a few views, not too many sort of thing. And people were just sort of asking for me to do another one, and I kind of went through the list of people associated with the show. And Jim has always been a kind of a guy that I've loved and hated in equal measure, and especially of recent times, it like the downfall of Jim and Sam. As bad as Sam is, and you know, Sam's bad, but he's bad. Everyone knows he's bad, so it's kind of like there's no story there, that, or at least not a big story. Jim, on the other hand, he was beloved by like everybody, and the way that he's turned that show into just pure dog shit just made me resent him almost. But like, I still like him, but it just felt like it was a perfect story to sort of tell, I think.
Do you remember the episode? This is from the way early O&A days where they had I think it was Goldschlager drinks campaign girls in.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode. Yeah,
and the girl was hammered drunk, and Jimmy took her into like a side room and had sex with her, and then the girl was crying.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was tempted to include that, but there's so much kind of speculation, and there's so much kind of like you're starting to get into waters there where it's a bit dicey kind of thing. Maybe I'll do like maybe I'll do like
that hoa.
He took her in the side and fucked that hoe. Oh,
you should fuck her. I did.
Dude, that's a really good impression.
Thanks over there.
People have been asking for me to do like an addendum, so I might think about doing it because there's still some stuff I missed. And if I do one, I might get the balls enough to start to maybe cover that sort of, you know, the show that can't be named or whatever the hell it was called. So I might think about that. But yeah, I think did you say that you and SayianZ was saying that was kind of a turning point?
No, we think that might be what's got Jimmy so on edge these days.
Oh right, you think like he's always thinking about that, thinking that like my chicken's gonna come home to roost at some point, or? Oh,
definitely. I mean, like there's people are now getting called out as racist based on their hairstyle. And the fact that Jimmy got this, waited until this girl was like drunk to take her into a room and have sex.
Wow, of course, yeah.
So he must be sitting there, and that's why I think it was on Beige Frequency's channel where he had this clip of Jimmy like really fidgeting in the way his face was twitching and all. And that's anxiety. So it's like any second now his career is finished.
No, dude, you're totally right. And there's a clip as well. I didn't even know this clip existed until after I made the thing, and I really regret not knowing about it because it would have fit perfectly in the Louis C.K. segment. It's a clip where Opie and Jimmy are talking, and Jimmy's explaining how he was at some event or club or something, or like concert or something, and he talks about how he gets his dick out and then just rests his dick on the jeans of an unsuspecting woman. And he just like sits there, and it's like, they talk about it as if it's like a kind of a funny goof. But I mean, this like that is insane. Like if the right like publication gets that, if TMZ grabs that and runs with it, or whatever fucking dog shit magazine runs with that, how can he justify his stance on Louis C.K. if he's admitted to taking his dick out and, you know, contacting another woman's fucking asshole with it without her knowing? It's disgusting. Like, and I think, like you said, I think that there is a sense that the chickens are coming home to roost, and I think he's trying to get his cards in early, and he's trying to like set himself up as this kind of like PC guy that's like cool with the Me Too thing, and that's kind of like not into like. And I think at some point he's degenerate enough that at some point a lot of things might come out about him. Not terrible things, but I think enough things that will make a little bit of a stir.
And plus, I've noticed that he's doing the Uncle Paul jokes less and less these days.
Oh, yeah. If I included that, it would be a stretch. But like, you're probably right. Like, there might be a reason for that. Like, I mean, even now, like, his sort of interest in dating is still within that same age demographic, the late teens to early 20s. I mean, I know Anthony gets a lot of shit for the demographic of girls that he goes for, but Jim is the same. Jim still enjoys dating very young girls, like considered, I mean, legal girls, but like young for his age bracket. And I don't think people really focus on that enough. I don't think people really look at that enough. And I mean, if you're 15, you can get away with banging fucking like teenage, well, not teenage, but like early 20s models, and then all the best to you. But like, there's still not something right with somebody doing that. I think there's still kind of like, I'm 32 now, and I don't date like I don't date women under like 23. Not on a specific like for a reason, but like I just don't. It's just like my tastes have changed, like my interests have changed, and I kind of like the people I find attractive kind of matured a little bit, and it just doesn't seem to have happened to these guys. They seem to be in a state of arrested development. So, I mean, with Jim's dating profile, with the demographic that he chooses to date, I wouldn't rule it out that the Uncle Paul thing might be something in there. That there might be a reason that the Uncle Paul character existed in the first place that isn't just to have fun at pedophiles or have fun at like. So I don't know. Like, it's obviously a lot of speculation, but I wouldn't discount it.
And plus, Jim has been very open about the fact that he was sexually active as a child.
Oh yeah. And the fact that, like, I mean, let's not. He was abused as a child, like, absolutely. There's tales of all kinds of sexual abuse. I mean, he plays it off as if, oh, it was all fun and games, but that's abuse. Like, he was abused as a child. And the number one key to understanding like sexual predators and pedophiles and things is the common thread there is that a lot of them were abused as children. And again, this is mass speculation, and I'm not saying specifically that he's a sexual abuser or anything, but like, he's got all of the key ingredients. If you think about like dating, he's the demographic of women that he dates, the sexual abuse as a child, the proclivity to want violent sex or kind of degenerate sex that he likes, the transsexual thing. He's got all the key ingredients for somebody that might perform some kind of sexual abuse. But again, pure speculation. But I'm just saying it's an interesting thing to think about.
And he knows Anthony Cumia. And
he has defended Anthony Cumia for all of the bizarre. I mean, Jim knows as much as anyone. He knows everything that the sub knows about Anthony. I'm sure of it. But he's still his favorite person. Louis C.K., nah, fuck him. But Anthony, like, yeah, that's fine. That's totally fine in my books.
I gotta be honest, though, not that I think it's okay with what Louis C.K. did. But when I heard about him getting in that scandal, I thought, good, because I'm going to say it, I never found Louis C.K. that funny, and I thought he was kind of a dick.
Yeah, that's fair. I think in the latter years, he definitely turned a lot of people off with his artsy shit. Horace and Pete, Horace and Pete, rather, I wasn't really a fan of. I thought it was pretentious, and I thought it was self-aggrandizing. And I think he was going down a path that was not necessarily enjoyable for anybody. And the big one was him going on that talk show and almost crying about how he thinks that Hillary's should be an amazing leader because she's a mom and she's a woman, and women and women moms, that kind of thing. And it disgusted me, like, really genuinely disgusted me. And it's the idea of like, I want comedians to stay in their lanes. I don't like it when comedians go off to do talk shows. I don't like comedians that go off and do political things. And even on the right as well, when, you look at Nick DiPaolo and Anthony, like, I don't like it when people that are funny stray away from their lanes. Like, stay in your lane. Louis C.K. for me, he's early, like, between 2006 or 2004 and like 2010, funniest guy on the planet, in my opinion. Like, I thought he was very funny. And But yeah, he lost his way massively. But that doesn't discount the fact that he's probably still a funny guy. And I mean, it might be really naive of me, but I really hope that this whole thing has kicked him up the arse and, you know, brought out some kind of like new Louis again. But I don't think I think he's going to just go back to the artsy, virtue signaling kind of feminist Louis again, which is really disappointing. But I can always hope.
The thing is, it's amazing how much this past presidential election campaign killed the fan bases of so many famous people. Because with like Trump, like I'm not a Trump supporter. I just like to jerk off to him because he's so sexy. But with Hillary Clinton, it's like, if you think that is a feminist, then you think I'm Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. I mean, she's really standing up for the women out there by sticking by a rapist for 20 years for a career. And like, I mean, come on. I thought feminists are supposed to go at it alone and despite them, and not latch onto a man to elevate yourself because of his success. That is the anti-feminist, Nate. That's completely opposite to what feminism is. It should be about standing on your own 2 feet, regardless of men's achievements, and equaling their achievements based on your own merit. And what she's done for her entire career is support probably a pedophile, definitely a rapist, definitely a sexual abuser, and all for monetary and career gain. Like it's totally the opposite. And yet all the feminists stray towards her because she's got tits and a vagina, albeit really saggy, disgusting tits and a probably mutated, violent vagina, but she's still got those parts.
I'd fuck her. He's a hoe. But the thing about Clinton is that that's with CK saying that sort of stuff about her, you just think, mate, you're an idiot.
Oh yeah. I mean, he acknowledged it in the interview that he was immediately going to like segregate his audience by saying it, but then he goes and says it anyway, and it's like, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, you do realize that a lot of your fans don't agree with this. A lot of your fans don't like this, like what you're saying. But I guess like he's too big at that point to give a fuck anyway. He's like, well, you know, I'll get fans regardless. So I'll just say what I want. And it's like, yeah, but now a lot of people really don't like you, Louis. And who knew a year later you were going to go through a completely massive career ruining moment. And you don't necessarily have that platform anymore, Louis. So yeah, life's a bitch.
The other thing about like the whole Opie and Anthony thing is that what I loved is that Jim was like the witty comedy guy.
Yeah.
Anthony was like the impressionist, the insane person. But Opie was actually a good interviewer.
Actually, yeah. And if you this is a weird one as well with the equating the Opie and the interview thing. There's a couple of guests in particular. I think Bill Burr's one of them and Artie's another. And and when Opie was doing his own show with the his Laughter Posse, and then Jim was doing his Jim and Sam show, when they both had Bill Burr in, and Braunheiser, Tef Patton, he enlightened me to this. He said, I will put money behind the fact that Bill Burr's appearance on Opie's show was way better than Bill Burr's appearance on Jim and Sam show. A lot of it was because Jim tried to sit there and interview Bill. And we all know Jim's a terrible interviewer with the your wife died. So tell me about so like Jim treated Bill Burr like an interview. It was really weird because Bill's been in the studio for like 10 years now. And like, he knows the deal. You go in there, you hang out and you just chat and stuff, where Jim just sat there and interviewed him in a professional. It was really weird. Opie brought Bill Burr in. I think Opie might have had one or two of his like laughter crew in there as well, but they just like had fun. And they just like fucked around. It was way better. And the same with Artie Lang as well. When Artie Lang went into Jim and Sam, he went in with Rich Voss, and they sat there and they talked about addiction in seriously. They seriously talked about addiction for like 2 hours, and it was boring as fuck. It was really like stories you've heard a million times. No fun, no nothing. When he goes in with Gilbert Gottfried to Opie's show, it was actually a funny show. They were like, they did that Beatles bit way better than the Jim and Sam version, and I think Opie's just better at that. Opie's better at understanding the guest and where the guest is in relation to the room. Like if it's a Bill Burr type, Opie knows that, okay, I don't have to do the interview thing here. If it's not a Bill Burr thing, Opie knows that he does, but Opie's better than Jim at the interview thing anyway, so it kind of works. I'm not saying I'm an Opie fan. I still think it kind of sucks, but there's arguments that he's better than Jim in those kind of areas. I think Jim's interview thing is terrible. I think he's the worst interviewer I might have ever heard.
Speaking of awkward, have you heard the rumors and theories that Jim has relapsed with booze?
Whoa, no, I've not heard anything about that.
Yeah, it's because, do you remember there was a photo that leaked out or whatever? It was taken later last year where Jimmy was out at a restaurant with a chick with a dick.
Oh yeah.
And there was like a wine glass on the table.
Yeah, dude, like if Jim saw a wine glass on his table, he would freak the fuck out.
No, but it was like filled with, it was like a half filled wine glass. And also, and of course, there's that the famous crying live stream he did from Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, the one that he denies doing.
Yeah, so the theory is from some people that maybe Jim is not full on the piss, but that he's back on the taking a few slips over here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised about that. Like, because he used to talk about his sobriety a lot on the old show. Like, he used to celebrate the anniversaries of when he was like I've got the clip on the thing that I did of him celebrating 26 years sober, and it was a big part of him. And it doesn't seem to be really talking about that much now. And I think if anything's going to drive you to drinking, it's the fact that the girl you fell in love with and wanted to marry was still speaking to other Chatterbait customers and probably saw you pretty much as a pay pig. So I think that there's definitely enough reasons for Jim to drink. It's just whether or not his resolve is big enough and strong enough for him to stop himself. I don't know whether or not he was ever an addict per se. I mean, there's not a lot of stories about him as a kid, or not enough stories as him as a kid. He talks about mischief that he gets into, but it all sounds kind of light. It wasn't like, oh yeah, when I was 17, I drank bleach and stabbed myself in the stomach, so I had to stop drinking. It was like, oh yeah, we put a turd in a bag and put it in front of someone's doorway and ran away, so I had to stop drinking because that was that was a dark road, a dark path. It's like he was just getting into light mischief, if anything. Like, and you look at like Bobby Kelly's upbringing and stuff, like that's really dark shit. But like, so I don't think Jim necessarily was ever an addict. I think he could probably drink and be fine. I just think he likes it being part of his personality. So, and I do think that he, like you said, I think he's had enough reasons to drink. The Princess Alina thing, and even just the constant abuse from the trolls about the like $60,000. And I mean, there's plenty of reasons. The documentary's full of reasons for Jim to drink. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's relapsed at any point of his life.
And plus, he was in Dublin last December and November. And I don't know if you've ever been to Dublin, but you've more chance of not getting cold at winter than you do of going to Dublin and not drinking.
Yeah, I've been to Cork. I've never been to Dublin though. But from what I hear, it's pretty much impossible to go to Dublin and not drink. It seems like it's the only reason to visit Dublin in the first place. No disrespect to Dublin. Yeah,
because we were in Dublin about a week or two ago to see the Brian Wilson. I was with this friend who's a homophobe, and we walked past this gay bar that looks so great that we're like, we can't not go in there.
Yeah.
And they went in, we got our dick sucked by the barman. It was great, you know?
I like the fact that you introduced this. That's the first thing you introduce this friend as to in any circumstance. Like, yeah, I got this friend. He's a homophobe.
Oh, God.
just like so blasé. Just like that's just the word I use to introduce my friend at all times in all certain social circumstances.
I've got a friend who's so homophobic that strangers don't know if he's joking or not.
Oh, yeah. I know people like that.
He'd literally introduce himself to be like, hey, nice to meet you. How's it going? See, gay people, here's the top 5 problems with them. And you just think, oh, shit, just you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of those around.
Speaking of convicts, talk to me about the SayianZ review that you got of the.
Oh yeah. I think the second one was definitely more fair, and I appreciate that that he went away, and because I do feel like the first time I went into the chat with him, was it Cosmic, his buddy there? He messaged me and was like, yeah, would you like to come on SayianZ show? He's talking about your documentary. He didn't give me any idea of what he wanted to talk about, but at that point, most people, I mean, the overwhelming response to the documentary was really positive, like stupidly positive, like more than I could have hoped for, really. So I was like, okay, SayianZ probably liked it, like everyone else kind of liked it. So yeah, I'll talk to SayianZ. I don't really have any beef with the guy, so yeah, we'll do it. And yeah, I don't think he was being fair at all, and I think it was pretty easy to see that. And I don't hate the guy or anything like that. He's you know, but I think what he was trying to do the first time, I think he was just trying to drum up a little bit of drama. And I think also he was very drunk, obviously. So in my head, I was thinking to myself, okay, just remember, he's very drunk. So don't, my big thing was like, don't match his energy. Don't match his energy, because I've seen that happen when people get into these arguments, that the minute you match their energy, you're in the mud pit with them and you're both covered in mud at that point. So I was like, okay, I can't really do that. So I'm trying to like be a bit measured, trying to like talk a bit fair and stuff. And my big point was that, and I wasn't trying to be mean, but I said this was going over your head in a sense that you're too drunk right now to understand maybe some of the nuance and subtext to it. And so I try to just suggest that you watch it again in the morning. There's every chance that he doesn't like it. There's every chance that someone doesn't like it. There's loads of people that don't like it. If you look at the YouTube comments, there's plenty of Jim Norton fans that hate the thing. And that's fine. That's totally fine. Like, I'm not doing it to change the minds of Jim Norton fans. I did it because it's, you know, I like the story. I think it's an interesting story to tell. And so, yeah, so luckily enough, we cut it off there at a good point that night with SayianZ, because I realized that there wasn't really anywhere we were going. It was just a lot of like ad hominem attacks, really. So I felt like, okay, I'll maybe I'll talk to him tomorrow. Maybe he'll watch it again. If not, then that's fine also. And then luckily enough, he came into a Discord channel yesterday and was like, hey Porsalin, I'm going to be reviewing the documentary. I finally sat down and watched it, and I watched the second half, and then I watched it from beginning to end. And he said, I think you'll like my review. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And so I ended up tuning into his show, and I was in his chat, and yeah, he made a lot of headway into liking it, and he said it's good. So that's absolutely, that's the best I can hope for. And he had his criticisms for it, and I think that some of them were definitely warranted. I do feel like there was too much build up, but in a way it was, I think it's very difficult for someone like SayianZ, who knows everything about these people. It's very difficult because you see that subtext, you see that opening part, you see the first half of it, and you know those stories so well that it's not interesting. But what I wanted the documentary to be, I wanted it to be a bit more of a broad kind of idiot's guide to Jim Norton. So I wanted anyone to be able to pick that up and go, who's Jim Norton? Okay, this is Jim Norton. Oh, fuck, Jim Norton did this. Oh, shit, Jim Norton's a bad guy. Or not, I don't want to say he's a bad guy, but like, oh, shit, Jim Norton's like, there's a lot of weird stuff there. So yeah, it was more, and that's the difference between this and Beige. Like, I think the equivalencies between this and Beige's documentaries, there's a number of false equivalencies to them. I think one of the biggest ones is that Beige's is serialized, whereas this is a one and done. When you do a one and done documentary, you have to skim. You really, there's so much that I wanted to dive deeper into, but you're conscious of length. You're conscious of keeping the attention span of people because it's one sit through. Whereas in a serialized thing like Beige's, you can take your time and you can really, really poke into, and that was a decision that I made early on. I was like, I don't want to do what Beige is doing because first of all, I don't necessarily want to step on toes. Second of all, I'm too much of a fan of what Beige is doing on a personal level for me to just carbon copy that. I want to do something that's a little different, but I also want to take what he's doing onto other people because ultimately Beige is just one guy. Like, he can't cover everybody because it's like making these things, it's a lot of work. So So yeah, I came at it like that. So I can understand people that might like Beiges for those reasons, that might not like this one, and I can understand people that think that this isn't as in depth as Beiges, so that's a negative on this one as well. But I don't see the equivalences there. I think that they both have their place, and I think that the reactions of both of them have been enough to warrant their creation in the first place. And I'm really glad to be part of it. And I'm really glad that Beiges, dude, I can't wait for the Joe Cumier episode. Episode 4 of Beiges documentary was probably one of my best documentary experiences I've been through. And I'm a huge documentary fan. Like I watch as many as I physically can. And episode 4 of Beiges one as a standalone was just great. It was fantastic. So I'm just a fan of documentaries, and I just a fan of really interesting stories. And to me, Jim Norton was a really interesting story, and that's the long story short. And I think that SayianZ had some good points about it. I think where he misstepped, I think him driving the point that this is nowhere near as good as Beiges, like over and over again, that's not very helpful, and it's not very. Doesn't really say anything about the documentary, but like his actual criticisms of it, when he dives into the criticisms of it, are totally valid. And I will definitely take them on board. And I think like when he said as well, sorry, I'm rambling on a bit here, but when he said about that I should have got him in as an interview instead of Tef Patton, that is also a really valid thing, because again, he's known to Jim and Sam as well. But the what happened there is more of a logistical decision, because I'm in the Discord server with Braun, with Tef Patton, and me and Tef Patton are very close. So I kind of wanted to first of all, I wanted to include him because I respect him and I really like him as a person, and secondly, he was just there. So me and him did the interview like there and then, and once I had that interview, then I had to like cut it down, cut it in length, and then include it in the documentary. And then to do that again with SayianZ, first of all, it'll make the documentary long. Second of all, it'll make that interview segment too long for the audience to be captivated by it. And third of all, it would delay the release of the documentary. So I had to kind of make a decision and just say, sorry, Carl, Tef's done me an interview, so I don't need one from you. But like, I mean, this isn't the only document. I'm going to be doing a Sam Roberts one. I'm going to be doing plenty, and there's plenty where I really hope SayianZ can get involved at some point. So I think that'll be cool.
And just as we're wrapping up here, you mentioned that you're going to start a Sam Roberts documentary. So what is the process on that, or the progress, should I say?
Well, I've not started it yet. My first thing will be sourcing. The process goes. The first thing is sourcing material and just researching, and then thinking in my head of a rough sort of timeline. So I was very lucky in the last two documentaries. The first documentary with Joe Matarese, I started just doing the research myself based on what I know, and then I started thinking like, I'm not utilizing the people here. There are plenty of people. Like, there's autists on the subreddit. There are autists in Red Bar's Bring Back group. So I went to Mike David, actually, of Red Bar, and spoke to him, and he was great. He was I showed him like the first 10 minutes of the Matarese documentary, and he was he basically just said, leave it with me. I will get my guys working on it, and we'll get you all the clips you want. And he did. The Bring Back group just started giving me, basically they did my research for me, and it was fantastic. So it was like, at that point, I threw my old timeline away, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on what these guys are giving me, because it's great. The same thing happened with the Jim Norton one. I was stuck for 4 clips, 4 things I needed on the Jim Norton documentary that I thought I needed. So I went to the subreddit and I was like, I'm doing a Jim Norton documentary. If you guys have any idea where I could find these 4 things, that'd be really appreciated. Not only did they find those 4 things, but they basically again made me throw my old timeline away and go through the whole thing again. And I think there were over like 150 comments, and it was just crazy amounts of like really autistic, like time coded random videos that I've never even heard of before, random audio clips, unlisted videos all over the place. It was really, really good. So I think for the Sam Roberts one, I've got a couple of people around me that openly helping, but there's definitely I will definitely look to the subreddit to sort of give me a little bit more. Sam Roberts is more of a passion project, because I I despise the man so much at this point. So I don't really care if people want it or they don't want it. I have to do it. I'm really sorry. It's got to be made. I have to do it.
Thank you, Porsalin. Not this porcelain. The next episode will be coming in about a week's time. I want to say thanks to Mike Kelly, thanks to SayianZ, thanks to Porsalin for coming on. Maybe next time try not to drop the N-word when I'm trying to edit it all. But thank you for taking the time anyway. And don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode, which will be in about a week, possibly, maybe 4 months. It's up to me. It's Hughezy. Bye-bye.